A deep and puzzling silence hangs over the Vatican, even as more and more details come to light about a situation that's leaving many Catholics uneasy. Bits of information are surfacing, leaked internal files, vague and confusing responses, a controversial book about to be released, and even the sudden removal of a long-standing Catholic blog. When you look at it all together, the pieces seem to form a pattern, and that leads to one big question. What's really going on behind closed doors? Why won't the Pope speak directly to the many faithful who feel ignored? In this video, we'll explore how these recent events may be connected and why they matter. Lately, the traditional Latin Mass, also known as the Tridentine Mass, has once again become a hot topic. This renewed attention started after Pope Francis issued a document called Traditionis Custodes. It placed strong limits on the ability of priests to celebrate the Latin Mass. Church leaders said they had surveyed bishops all over the world, and the results supposedly showed that the old liturgy was creating major problems, causing division, and no longer served the needs of the Church today. That was the official reason given over and over again. But things took a turn when journalist Diane Montagna revealed a hidden Vatican document, shared with her by someone who wished to remain unnamed. What she discovered didn't match the public story at all. The document showed that many bishops did not want to get rid of the traditional Latin Mass. In fact, most of them believed it was still valuable and did not see it as a serious issue. In fact, the leaked document showed that many bishops thought the traditional Latin Mass was still helpful. They believed the solution that Pope Benedict had introduced years earlier, allowing both the old and new forms of the Mass to coexist, was fair and should continue. There was no sign that the Church was in crisis over it, and no major call to shut the old rite down. These details didn't just challenge the official narrative, they embarrassed it. When journalists asked Vatican officials about the leak during a press conference, the spokesman seemed uncomfortable and clearly unprepared. He tried to dismiss the document, saying it was only partial and incomplete. But when asked to explain what parts were missing or wrong, he couldn't give any clear answers. Things became even more complicated when, right around the same time, a new book was announced. The book, called The Liturgy Is Not a Spectacle, was made available for pre-order by a Catholic publisher named Feed and Cultura. Though the book hadn't been released yet, it promised to include not only the leaked Vatican documents, but also other texts never seen before, all pointing to the same conclusion. Most bishops didn't see the Latin Mass as a problem. What really caught people's attention was the timing. The book's announcement came just as the controversy was gaining steam, and many Catholics began to suspect that certain voices were trying to prevent the full truth from coming out. Was this just a strange coincidence? Or was there an effort to silence those who support the traditional liturgy? No one can say for sure, but the concern didn't seem far-fetched. And just when it seemed the situation couldn't get any more tense, another surprising thing happened. Only days later, on July 14th, a well-known Italian blog called Messa in Latino suddenly disappeared from Google. The blog had been around since 2007 and was known for defending the Latin Mass. Over time, it had become a trusted place for readers who wanted thoughtful reflections, news, and updates on traditional Catholic worship. Its sudden removal left many stunned. Just a month earlier, in June, the Messa in Latino blog had reached over 1 million visits, a clear sign that interest in the traditional Latin Mass was growing fast. The blog shared thoughtful articles, news updates, and respectful but honest critiques of the newer form of the Mass and the Vatican's decisions to limit the older one. Its purpose was always clear: to protect and promote the Church's ancient traditions. Around that same time, the blog had also started promoting the upcoming book The Liturgy Is Not a Show, which added even more attention. That's why its sudden removal caught so many people off guard. Without any warning, the website just vanished. One morning in July, anyone who tried to visit the page was met with a plain message: "This site is unavailable." No explanation, no notice, nothing. The blog was completely gone, and it wasn't just blocked in one country, it seemed to be inaccessible worldwide. The silence was loud, and reactions came quickly. Other websites that support traditional Catholic values like Informatio Catholica, Corrispondenza Romana, and Stillum Curie spoke out right away. They showed support for Messa in Latino and called the shutdown unfair and hard to understand. Luigi Casalini, who runs the blog, posted on social media, now called X, saying he plans to take legal action against Google. He wants to find out why the blog was taken down and to fight to bring it back online. Just like the earlier events, no one knows for sure why this happened. But the timing raises serious questions. These incidents, leaked documents, a bold new book, and now a popular blog disappearing are all happening within a short time. It's no wonder people are starting to wonder, is there a hidden connection between them? After the press conference, where Vatican spokesman Matteo Bruni brushed off the leaked documents as incomplete, no one from the Vatican came forward with more answers. The silence continued. When people asked for clear answers like which parts of the leaked document were supposedly missing or wrong, they got no reply. Even later, when reporters wanted to know what other information, besides what was already public, had really led to the restrictions on the Latin Mass, the Vatican spokesman Matteo Bruni didn't go into any details. He only repeated the official explanation from the Traditionis Custodes document, saying the decision was based on advice from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith and from bishops around the world. That was it. Nothing more was offered. While new facts continued to come out and public concern kept growing, no real effort was made to answer people's questions. The Vatican didn't release any full reports, and the leaked materials published by Diane Montagna were never directly denied or corrected. This lack of clarity only made people more uneasy, and the original doubts remained just as strong. Meanwhile, well before all of this recent drama, several important church leaders had already spoken up. Cardinals like Raymond Burke, Gerhard Müller, and Athanasius Schneider had been urging the Pope for a long time to bring back freedom for the Latin Mass. They believed the restrictions were harmful and even dangerous for the Church. These cardinals weren't reacting out of emotion or surprise. They had raised their concerns early on, reminding everyone that a true shepherd must protect tradition and listen to his people. Everything that has unfolded in recent weeks has only made the voices of those cardinals sound louder and more serious. Their earlier concerns, which some had once ignored or dismissed, now feel especially relevant. What once seemed like just a liturgical disagreement has turned into something deeper, something that many faithful Catholics now see as a sign of greater confusion in the Church. The repeated silence, the sudden shutdown of trusted websites, the refusal to explain leaked documents, and the tight control over the traditional Mass have all added to a growing sense of spiritual unease. For many, the heart of the issue is no longer just about which form of the Mass is used. It's about truth, transparency, and whether or not tradition still has a place in today's Church. While this storm has been unfolding, Pope Leo quietly stepped away from the public eye and traveled to the papal summer residence at Castel Gandolfo. Officially, it's a time of rest. But among many Catholics, especially those who feel deeply connected to the Church's ancient traditions, there is a hope that this moment of quiet will not just be for personal retreat, but for serious thought and prayer. Many are praying that the Pope will take this time to reflect on what's happening across the Church and listen to the growing number of voices asking for clarity, honesty, and fairness. Because at the heart of this entire situation lies something that goes beyond documents or decisions. What we're seeing looks, to many, less like the patient care of a spiritual leader and more like the strategies of a political system. The timing of announcements, the shutting down of platforms, the careful wording of official statements, and the avoidance of open discussion, these actions don't reflect the openness of faith, but instead resemble how governments manage controversy. That's what worries so many people. They don't want to fight with the Church, they love the Church, but they are asking, why does this feel like politics instead of prayer? Why does it feel like control instead of care? Throughout this entire situation, there has been a pattern that many observers have started to notice. Important documents have been kept out of public view, official statements have been vague or unclear, and the Vatican has remained largely silent even as public concern has grown. When decisions are made, they seem to come at moments that raise even more suspicion, such as a blog disappearing just as it promotes a controversial book, or a major policy being defended without proper explanation. One can't help but feel that the entire matter is being handled less like a spiritual concern and more like an internal problem to be managed quietly. Instead of seeing the care and compassion that a shepherd would normally show to his flock, many faithful Catholics feel as though the issue is being dealt with through careful messaging, legal caution, and institutional control. This has left people feeling not just confused, but also deeply hurt. No one is looking to cast blame or accuse anyone of bad intentions. But the way this has all been handled has created the impression that what should be a heartfelt spiritual matter is being managed more like a public relations issue. Catholics around the world are not asking for much. They're not demanding power or privilege. They are simply asking for the truth, to know what's really going on, and why, and for the beautiful traditions of their faith not to be pushed aside in silence. They want to be heard. They want to be respected. And above all, they want to know that their love for the old rites is not being treated as a threat. At some point, and many believe that point is quickly approaching, Pope Leo will need to speak directly to this issue. Not just in passing and not through press officers, but with clear words and a pastoral heart. Yes, journalists have questions. But more importantly, millions of faithful Catholics, people who deeply love the Church and want to stay united with her, are waiting for answers. They are waiting for reassurance that their devotion to the traditional Latin Mass is not something to be ashamed of. They are hoping to hear that tradition is not being erased, and that the Church is still a place where the truth can be spoken with courage and without fear. Because in the end, that is what this is really about. Trust, truth, and the soul of the Church. And for those who believe that God works through His Church, silence is not enough. What we've seen in recent weeks has deeply touched the hearts of many Catholics across the world. The sudden removal of a trusted blog, the silence surrounding leaked documents, the arrival of a bold new book, and the general lack of clear answers have all added weight to an already sensitive issue. The traditional Latin Mass is not just about words, rituals, or language. It's something sacred, something full of meaning for generations of Catholics. For many, it's a beautiful expression of worship that lifts the soul to God in a way they've never experienced elsewhere. And yet, more and more, those who love this ancient form of worship feel pushed to the margins. They are not angry rebels. They are not trying to divide the Church. They are, in most cases, humble, prayerful people who want to hold on to something that speaks deeply to their hearts. They come from all backgrounds, all ages, and all parts of the world. And still, many feel ignored. Some even feel treated like they don't belong. But here's the truth. Tradition is not the enemy of the Church. It is part of the Church's identity. The Catholic Church has always been built on continuity, on passing down the treasures of the faith from one generation to the next. When that chain is broken or quietly set aside, people begin to feel lost. They begin to wonder whether their spiritual home is still the same place they fell in love with. This is not just about documents or decisions. It's about trust. It's about feeling like your voice matters, like your questions deserve real answers. When the faithful reach out in honesty and hope, and are met only with silence or vague replies, it causes real pain. It also creates confusion. What are we really being told? Is this truly about unity, or is something else happening behind the scenes? The Church is strongest when it listens with the heart of a mother, when it opens its doors, not just to the new, but also to the old. When it sees value in every part of the body of Christ. In this moment, many Catholics are not looking for permission to divide. They're simply asking for room to breathe, to worship, to be. So now the question turns to you. What do you think about all this? Do you believe there's more going on than what's being said? Have you or someone you know been affected by these recent changes to the Latin Mass? Do you think the Church is handling this with care, or does it feel more like control? Let us know in the comments below. This isn't just about one group, it's about the whole Church. Your voice matters, and we'd love to hear what you think. Whether you support the traditional Latin Mass or have never attended one, your thoughts are welcome here. If this video helped you understand the situation better, or made you feel heard, please consider liking it, sharing it, and subscribing to the channel. We try to approach these topics with clarity and respect, always seeking the truth, always trying to shine a light on what matters. Thank you for watching. May God bless you, may He bless the Church, and may He guide us all in wisdom, truth, and peace.